My friend, the name that's dominating conversations behind the scenes in the NFL right now belongs to one of the greatest defenders of his generation. A 31-year-old pass rusher, an 8-time Pro Bowler, the all-time sack leader in the history of his own team. And Bleacher Report just dropped a bomb. The Philadelphia Eagles have been named one of the most likely destinations for a blockbuster trade. We're talking about a $123 million contract. We're talking about a move that could completely transform the defense around Jalen Hurts and company. Stay with me until the end because this story has layers, my friend. If you're a diehard Eagles fan, hit that like button right now and subscribe to the channel because this is where you get everything about Philadelphia first. Ring that bell so you don't miss a single update. This offseason is on fire. Here's the deal. The Eagles entered the 2026 offseason with a massive hole at edge rusher. Jalen Phillips, the guy Vic Fangio loved, acquired at the 2025 trade deadline for a third-round pick, signed with the Carolina Panthers for 4 years and $120 million. The number Philadelphia had as their walkaway point was crossed, and Howie Roseman simply turned the page. The problem? Turning the page doesn't fill the void. And now, a Bleacher Report analyst just poured gasoline on this fire by naming the Eagles as candidates for a trade involving none other than TJ Watt, the outside linebacker of the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's right, TJ Watt, the all-time sack leader in Steelers history, the 2021 Defensive Player of the Year, the man with 115 career sacks, who has led the NFL in sacks 3 times, a record that has never been matched in the history of the league. And Bleacher Report is saying the Eagles could be the right destination for one of the biggest defensive pieces in the NFL. Gary Davenport of Bleacher Report put Watt on a list of 8 stars, who could actually be traded, still in this offseason. And he was straight to the point. The player is 31 years old, coming off a season where he recorded just 7 sacks, the second lowest total of his entire career. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are not necessarily in a real competitive window, even with Aaron Rodgers on the roster. On top of that, Davenport points out that the Steelers may already have an internal replacement in Nick Herbig. The logic for a trade exists. The question is, does it happen? Before we go deep on this analysis, we need to put the numbers on the table. Watt signed a 3-year, $123 million extension with the Steelers last offseason. That means a cap hit of at least $42 million in each of the next 3 seasons. That is an astronomical number. To put it in context, that figure would place Watt among the highest paid defenders in the entire NFL, at a moment when his production is trending downward. From 19 sacks in 2023, best in the league that year, to 11.5 in 2024, and then 7 last season. That downward curve is real and cannot be ignored. But here's what a lot of people are forgetting, my friend. And this is the part that changes everything when you look at the full picture. TJ Watt's 2025 season was not a football problem. It was a medical emergency. While receiving dry needling treatment at the Steelers' own facility, Watt suffered a collapsed lung. He wasn't hurt on the field. He wasn't beaten by a tackle. He went down in the building where he trains every single day. He underwent surgery and returned to the field in less than 3 weeks. 3 weeks after surgery on a collapsed lung. That kind of toughness and recovery speed doesn't belong to a declining player. It belongs to an elite athlete who had his season derailed by something completely outside of football. If you're writing off Watt based on 7 sacks in 2025 without understanding that context, you're making a massive mistake. Now let's talk about who TJ Watt really is before we throw that number away. From 2018 to 2024, he averaged 14.5 sacks per season, and that includes 2022, when he suffered a serious injury and played only 10 games with 5.5 sacks. At full health, Watt is a phenomenon. He had never recorded fewer than 7 sacks in a full season before 2025. That context matters. Now, back to Philadelphia. Why would the Eagles make sense as a destination? The answer is in the urgent need that exists right now at the Jefferson Health Training Complex. Not a single Eagles defender had more than 6.5 sacks in the 2025 season. Think about that for a second. The team that won the Super Bowl in 2024, built on Vic Fangio's philosophy of relentless pressure, couldn't produce a single elite pass rusher in the following season. Alex Hunt led the team in sacks with 6.5 and was impressive in terms of pressure rate. 5th in the NFL among all pass rushers with at least 200 reps, with a 17.3% pressure rate, according to Next Gen Stats. Nolan Smith contributed just 3 sacks in 12 games, limited by a triceps injury. And Arnold Ebiketie, the player Roseman brought in to try to cover the loss of Phillips, remains a huge question mark. So the question is worth asking. Do the Eagles really need TJ Watt? The honest answer is, yes, they need someone at You need pass rushers who can win one-on-one against elite offensive tackles. And no current player on the Eagles roster has the track record to do that consistently at a high level. But this is where the story gets complicated, my friend. Very complicated. Watt's contract isn't just difficult. It's a monumental obstacle to any trade. With a $42 million cap hit per season, any team that acquires Watt would need to carry that weight. The Eagles have cap space available, yes, but absorbing $42 million per year for a 31-year-old whose production is declining is a decision that could define, for better or worse, the next 2 or 3 years of the franchise. Howie Roseman is famous for structuring contracts creatively, for redistributing cap hits and finding solutions that few other GMs could. But even for Roseman, this contract would be an unprecedented challenge. And there's another side to this coin. Would the Steelers actually agree to a trade? Analysts are speculating that Watt's current market value could be as low as a second-round pick, a figure Pittsburgh would almost certainly refuse immediately. The team would never move on from the greatest sack artist in their history for a second-round pick. But to get a first-round pick, the Steelers would likely have to absorb a significant portion of Watt's salary, and that also seems unlikely given the franchise's financial situation. The most realistic view from analysts who cover the NFL closely is this: Watt will almost certainly remain in Pittsburgh for at least one more season. The Steelers will give him the chance to rehabilitate after the collapsed lung episode, which was an atypical situation with no connection to athletic decline. For the Eagles, the situation is clear. They should call Pittsburgh. Not necessarily to make a trade right now, but to open that line of communication and understand the conditions. Roseman is known for exploring every possibility before closing his wallet. The 2026 draft is also on the horizon as an alternative. Names like Akeem Mesidor, Keldrick Falk, and Romello Height appear on radars as options to fill the position with long-term potential at a fraction of Watt's cost. But let's be honest, no first-round rookie arrives at the immediate production level of TJ Watt in his prime. The central question Howie Roseman faces in 2026 is exactly that. Do you go to market for an expensive certainty with real risks, or do you build patiently with young talent and accept a possible transition period on the defensive front? With Nolan Smith needing a dominant season to assert his role, with Jalix Hunt still developing, with Arnold Ebiketie as an unknown variable, and with the possibility of an unlikely but not impossible trade for TJ Watt, what would be the best move for Howie Roseman to strengthen the Eagles' pass rush in 2026? Drop your opinion in the comments. I'd love to read what you think about this possibility. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back later to update you with the latest.